Well, hello everyone, and it's once again Tuesday. Welcome to another episode of Bean Bites Microschool Academy. Here, myself, Claude Trotter, with Dr. Andrea Long Nelson and Miss Nelson. Dr. Nelson, welcome on another Wednesday night. How you doing tonight?
I am doing well, and I'm glad to see everybody who's out there in virtual land getting ready to learn a little bit more about Beam Micro School Academy, 21st century education for the 21st century scholar.
Well, great. Let's start off by introducing ourselves to those that might be new joining us. Ladies first, or doctors first in this case.
Okay, so just to give you a little bit background about myself, I am a educator. I have been an educator for many years. I have been had the opportunity to work in a lot of different instructional positions, which has helped me to really think about reimagining education for the 21st century. I've been a principal, I've been a classroom teacher from pre-K all the way to college. I've had the opportunity to be an assistant soup as well as a reading coach. And so, with that, I've just had the opportunity to really see what education looks like and think about what would education truly look like in the 21st century. And so Beam Micro School is my reimagining and our team's reimagining of what education could look like in the 21st century. So, what? Tell me a little bit about yourself, Mr. Trotter.
Well, thank you for sharing that information with us. Well, very good. Thank you for that nice little handoff there. Uh, my name is Claude Trotter. I am proud to be a member of the Beam team. We started off with quite a few more, and it's whittled down to just us. So I'm very proud to have been able to stay and grow strong in the fire that has created Beam. But to give you a little bit more about myself, I was born on the East Coast, Howard University Hospital. I came up and graduated from Hampton University. I was blessed to be the second generation in my family to graduate from Hampton with a degree in mass communication. Love being behind the scenes, playing with the toys, and helping to tell the great stories. So from there, I spent and did about 15 years in broadcasting. That broadcasting brought me out to Dallas, Texas, where I am. I got a chance to meet Dr. Nelson, the founder and creator of Beam. Uh, we definitely had a passion of being able to pay it forward, to be able to help leave a mark and pass the baton to the next generation. And that's why we work so hard with Beam to be able to create that so that we can help uh, tell our stories and teach our kids accordingly. After being in broadcasting for 15 years, I got into marketing and sales. Also, did some time in public education as well as post education, and then was blessed to, like I said, join the Beam team. And that's where we are tonight. So, from there, I take it back to Dr. Nelson. Dr. Nelson, let's go ahead and get into our presentation tonight. Uh,
And so,
so, I'll let you
Mr.
tell who we are. Yes.
So, Mr. Trotter, I know people are out there going like, "Who is Beam and what are they about?" So, just to let you know a little bit about Beam, Beam has two different meanings if you look at the E. Our company, as you can see to the side, is Beam Education, which sponsors Beam Micro School. When I am talking about Beam Education, as you can see, the Beam stands for excellence, building excellence academically and mindfully. But tonight, we're going to be talking about the school, which is Beam Micro School Academy. And specifically, the E stands for entrepreneurs. So it stands for building entrepreneurs academically and mindfully. Our school is a student centered school that is hands on, is personalized, and we ensure that students work through problem solving through project based learning, using critical thinking, being creative, And they're also learning how to do all of those 21st century skills, such as collaboration, such as we just talked about their creativity. But then we also want to have students to develop a love of lifelong learning, because just think about it. When we came out of our mother's wombs, we all had to really learn how to breathe. So, with that, our philosophy is very simple. It is that we want individual growth for children. We want them to experience what it feels like to collaborate with other students who are excited by learning. But we also want them to totally understand in the 21st century what economic concepts are, what are entrepreneurial principles, because just because we are weaving entrepreneurial principles within our daily program, that is because to be an entrepreneur or to go and set a goal for yourself, you need resilience, you need grit. So those are the principles that we're going to work with teaching your children, is not only the business side of being an entrepreneur, but the skill set that you need, because that skill set goes into in any industry that we will talk about. And then we do that in a learner-centered ecosystem. I know many of you think of the word ecosystem and you think about a biosphere. But when we think about ecosystem, we think about all of the interdependence that should occur with families, with community, with the school itself, to ensure that our children are truly ready for the future. So, Mr. Trotter, one thing as we talk about the 21st century is we want people to really be deep programmed on what school looks like for all of us, because we all went through that pattern. We all went through that structure and framework. But at B.E.A.M Microschool Academy, which you're going to see later on in the presentation, we have done a lot of different things that are pushing us towards the 21st century, because we've already been in 25 years of the 21st century. But because of that, we want learning to be innovative. We want it to align to the interests of the students as well as how they learn. We want to build and create a community or ecosystem where collaboration not only occurs with teachers, but it occurs with the community on the outside of the school. It occurs with the families who are a part of the school. And most of all, the children have a voice in that collaboration. The other thing is that we want to ensure that we have personalized learning, to the point that children they have a menu and they can tell you exactly what they have mastered, and they can do a presentation for you of exactly of their own learning, as well as know exactly how they learn. And then finally, we have passionate facilitators. And so facilitators are any of those individuals, including the teachers, are any of those individuals who add the authentic experience of learning for the children that we serve at B.E.A.M Microschool Academy.
The B.E.A.M ecosystem. Go ahead, Dr. Nelson. I'll let you explain while
So,
I share this with other groups and viewers out here to join us live.
so basically, in an ecosystem, there is interdependence between the human entities that live within that ecosystem. And so, therefore, because of that, the B.E.A.M ecosystem ensures that a social emotional learning occurs for everyone, that the community involvement is cross-pollinated through outside the school door, inside the school door, between parents and other resources that we can garner to ensure that our children have a 360-degree experience at Beam Micro School. And then finally, as we talked about the facilitators before, that even though that is a title for teachers, it also becomes a title for anyone who impacts the life and learning of the students that we will serve at Beam Micro School Academy. So we have some very specific offerings that make us different and make us stand out from other school selections or educational selections that you could possibly make. The first one is our scholar inventory, and that inventory consists of 4 very important parts. Number one, the scholar inventory is the way that we see how your child learns. So the first thing that we do is we want to know what are their strengths academically. Because in many traditional programs, we focus a lot of time on intervention or challenges that students have. But we never consider the possibility of what are they strong at academically to ensure that we are able to build up their confidence, to make sure that their self-esteem is real high, but to also teach them that in some cases there is always a challenge for all of us as we are human beings. So with the scholar inventory, we do the challenge, we look for acceleration, we look for interest, and we look for how your students learn. From that information, we develop a personalized education plan, which we'll talk about a little bit more. And we take all of that information and we turn it into a plan that becomes the roadmap for how your student will learn at Beam Micro School. We have flexible cluster grouping, which we're going to talk a little bit more, which means that in a traditional program, in a traditional school, most of the time, a certain age would be in a certain grade level. In our program, we use the personalized education plan to ensure that children are in flexible groupings depending on their acceleration level, depending on their challenge level, depending on their interests, depending on how they learn. All of that factors into the flexible groupings that we're going to also talk about a little bit more. Now, one of our huge things is that we offer alternative arrival and dismissal times. And that becomes very important when we get down to maybe 2 or 3 more slides. So specifically, you have an 8 o'clock time. If you choose to come to the school at 8, then your child will probably have what you would consider a traditional day. And that would be from 8 to 3. If your child chooses the other time, if you as a family choose another time, our other time, that would be 10 to 5. And those 2 hours they're very important to the discussion as we tell you more about Beam Micro School.
Discover our unique offerings.
So, Mr. Trotter, I am sure you took reading, language, social studies, mathematics, and science when you were in school, correct?
Yes, I did.
Well, Mr. Trotter, did you do it so that it was all together so that you had to use all those skills from those content? Or did you have to take each one of them in isolation?
I had to take each one of them in an isolation, and I was better in some than I was in others. I was a little bit better in math
So,
than I was in the reading and stuff.
well, I was just the opposite. I was better in reading and struggled with math. But as you can see, we both became very productive citizens, and we're doing this right now. So our core subjects are intertwined into our interdisciplinary programming, which means that because of that, our children do project-based approach to learning, and which integrates entrepreneurship and other content areas. The other thing that we offer is language learning. So our students take Spanish and they'll take American Sign Language. Now, I'm sure you're saying, why American Sign Language? I want you to think about the 5-year-old that comes to us and starts to learn sign language. And then I want you to think about that student after being in a sign language program from 5 to say maybe 9. And so they get to the age of 9, and guess what? They have a skill set now that they can use as an interpreter to start their own company. And so, therefore, that is why we are giving them American Sign Language, because they, if they choose to, they can become interpreters and use that skill at church, use that skill at meetings, and a lot of different other venues that they could really start making money early. Then our other unique offering is something called Lab Day. And Lab Day stands for learning, applying, and building. On those days, students have the opportunity to take everything that they have been learning in something we call PQ and what they've been doing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, because Lab Day is on Friday. And so now they are applying their skills to 21st century topics. Those topics include such topics as environmental stewardship, global citizenship, technology, digital technology with ethics and etiquette, art and design, and mass communications. All rolled up where children have the opportunity to apply their learning every Friday.
Curriculum and activities overview.
So when we talked about our unique offerings, we talked about the scholar inventory and we talked about the personalized. Once we have the scholar inventory, we move into the personalized education plan, which is the roadmap that we use to ensure that we are working with your students specifically on the skills where they need support. Once we have their information and once their plan is totally developed and they have enrolled at B.E.A.M Microschool Academy, and it is the first day of school in September, and because we're going to start school the week after Labor Day, that Wednesday. So with that, it's 2 hours. They've gotten at school and it's 8 o'clock and they're there for 2 hours. During that time, we call that PQ, prep, propel, and power session. During that session, we do intervention with children on their challenge. We do acceleration on what they are strong at. We provide motivational time, coaching, feedback, specific feedback around their passion project, which they have identified through their interest in their personalized educational plan. So, and we offer many skills around the skills that they need to know in order to be successful with their passion projects, as well as with their project-based learning projects that they will do with various groups. Then finally, we are a multi-age school. So with that, we no longer have grades. We have 2 upper and lower grade schools, which we're going to talk about. But we are a multi-age school. If you go to the next slide, Mr. Trotter.
There you go, Dr. Nelson. Why multi-age schooling, you ask?
Yes, why do we have multi-age schooling? Number one, because
Yes, why?
it fits with what we're doing. Because we have created a personalized education plan, it allows the student to learn at their own pace. But because they're learning with other students who might be working on the same skill or mastered the same skill, it encourages kids to move faster, but at their own pace and not feel that competition with someone else. The other thing it does is it's up there. I just said it all in one sentence. The collaborative opportunities, the social benefits, the reduction of competition, but the increase of cooperation. All of these things are a part of the multi-age classroom. So we have two schools at B.E.A.M Micro School Academy. One is the upper school and one is the lower school. So what's up now are the lower school groupings, which consist of ages 5 through 7. As you can see, there are three different, very specific names for each one of those groups. The innovators, who are 5-year olders, the trailblazers, who are 6-year olders, and the explorers, who are our 7-year olders. And so I just want you to think about when you take off that component of a grade level and instead you move into these high adjectives, these words that express who we want children to become, that paints a whole different kind of picture of what happens at this school daily with the children that we will serve. And we hope that it's one of your children who are out there listening in virtual land, that you will be so intrigued by the program that you're going to either email us, call us, and let us know that you want to know more about B.E.A.M Microschool.
And this is an example of our upper school grouping for the B.E.A.M scholars.
So same thing. We have our visionaries in this group. The upper school is ages 8 through 10. Our visionaries, our catalysts, and our mentors. Can you imagine being the 10-year-old saying, well, I'm a mentor to the 8, the 9, the 8, the 7, the 6, the 5-year olders. And so that is to build that whole culture around we are beaming scholars that can create and do anything that we put our mind to.
And here's a sample curriculum overview for you. Go ahead, Dr. Nelson.
So we're going to share with you one of the units that we will be teaching to the students. This unit is called the Eco Innovator, Student Entrepreneur for a Sustainable Future. Specifically in this lesson, and you're going to see this unit, I said lesson, but it's a unit. It lasts for 6 to 9 weeks. But in this unit, what you will see is that children are working on environmental issues. When we look at the lower grades, we will be looking at environment. We'll be specifically looking like at the man-made environment and the natural environment. We will be talking about all of those different things, but really building up our lower school age children's vocabulary and experiences around this. And then what you will see as we move to the upper grade, the upper school, you will see that the language changes and what the expectation of the children are changes, because the children are expected to really think about what does sustainability look like, what does entrepreneurship look, and what does it look like environmental. So Mr. Trotter has displayed for you lesson, the unit itself, the unit covers, as well as the Texas TEKS. We decided that even though we would not be a grade level school, we would be a multi-age school, that it was still important that we teach the TEKS, because we don't want children, if the parents or family decides that they don't want to remain at B.E.A.M Microschool, that when they do decide that, they can take their student to a school in the state of Texas, and the learning will be right where it was when they were at B.E.A.M Microschool. And that's real important, because our goal is that your child will be reading at least 6 months to maybe a year above their compadres, their peers. So let's look at the lower school unit. As I told you, this is introduction and exploration. It is students learning specifically about their environment. I told you about learning about the environment that is the natural environment and the environment that is made by man. And so then we start talking and discussing specifically to identify some environmental issues we see in both places, in the natural environment and the man-made environment. We go on nature walks. They take a little checklist home and they start looking around their house to see what are some of the environmental issues around their house and outside their house. So they're starting already to learn how to record data. Think about that. 5 and 6 year olds recording data and being taught that they're recording data. So then they take all of that information and through the use of picture graphs and other type of graphs, then they start to chart what they found and they saw. And then the next thing, once they do all of that, they do all the observation, now they start thinking about, well, how will we solve this problem? Because at my house, I figured out that my mama drinks a lot of Diet Coke, so she has a lot of cans. So that might be a problem that they want to solve. So the children are now involved in problem solving cooperatively. So this is what we want to create because it increases vocabulary. It increases students' opportunity to have a voice. And the list goes on and on about those 21st century skills that we want kids to develop. So now we're going to talk about the same identical unit, but it looks totally different for the upper school. And as you can see, we're sticking to core subjects integrated, and we have the TEKS. So all of that will be the same. You will not have to ever think that your child is not receiving what they receive in the traditional setting. They will also get it, and probably a little bit more, because it's going to be it'll be rigorous, as well as because it's rigorous and because they're working multi-age, they're able to see, children themselves are able to see the level of that particular standard, because the standards don't change, but the level of rigor and sophistication changes as students move up the grade level. So this is a sample of the same unit, but look at the difference in the vocabulary. Students are working on sustainability and entrepreneurship and thinking about environmental issues that they're finding. The students are doing workshops. They're watching videos. They're making phone calls. What? They're making phone calls, Mr. Trotter? When everyone else has put phones away, these children are making phone calls to
Yes,
find
that's
out new
great.
information. So they get to use all of the 21st century skills that are going to make sure they're successful. Once they have begun to collect their data and learn, now what they're going to do is they're going to do some community mapping, because now they know what they're looking for. So now they're going to look specifically in communities and map out and do a local environmental audit, collect data, and do team discussions and identify a problem that they either want to produce service for or a product for. So with that, once they have all of that information, as you can see by week 2, they are digging into the research. They are looking to see what is already out there that solves the problem. And it might not be anything out there, but that's for them to find and discover. So they're investigating that problem, and they're thinking about how can we solve it? What can we do differently to solve it? And then they start creating. By the time we get to the 6th or the 9th week of this unit, and we have to decide how long we're going to let it go. But by the time students are finished with this unit, they're having to present what they learned. Why did they pick this particular problem that they were trying to solve? What was their solution that they came up with? And just what did it take for them to do all of that? So students are actively engaged in reading, math, researching, science, history, presenting, all of those TEKS that we would really want students to be able to master and master at a high level?
Steps for enrollment with Beam.
So, Mr. Trotter,
Dr. Nelson.
everyone, I know they're out there asking, well, I'm I hear some things that I really think that I really want to consider for my scholar here at the house. And so how would I go about and do that? So you've already done one of those things, haven't they, Mr. Trotter?
That's right, just by being with us here tonight.
You've done the welcome event. So because you've done the welcome event, our suggestion to you, if we sparked your interest, we want you to go to our website to info@beameducation.org and share with us your wanting to have an interview to see if Beam is really a good fit for you. And we want to know if you and your child or children are a good benefit for us. Once we have done all of that, you will sign the forms for us to do the scholar inventory on your child. And we talked about what the scholar inventory is. We're looking for four things. We're looking for a challenge, instructional challenge. We're looking for instructional strength. We're looking for interest, and we're also looking for how students learn, and we're also looking for how does family impact the child at school every day. Once we have that information, we will then do a personalized education plan for your student, and we will be using that personalized plan for your student during the PQ session every day, 4 days a week. That is 8 hours of personalized instruction, whereas in a traditional program, your child would most likely receive 3 hours of or less of personalized instruction. And then finally, we are ready for orientation and integration. So, Mr. Trotter, you know, and I know that a program like
Dr. Nelson.
this. Yes, Mr. Trotter.
I'm sorry, repeat the question. We were having some technical difficulties on this end, and it chopped out the last part of what you were asking.
We were just talking about what would this cost to come to B.E.A.M Microschool?
Well, I would say it's an incredible value. But when we take a look at things right here, right now, after we did our research, we came up with $20,000 a year to be able to do all that we do and offer all that we are offering. This is not the highest in the area, it's not the lowest in the area, but we consider with all that what we're including, it's one of the best values for the dollar in the area. Basically, the tuition for our 12 by 12 program, that means 12 hours a day, our doors are open and our campus is open 12 months out of the year. We're only asking $20,000. When you break it down by the hour, that's less than $7 an hour that you're investing in your young scholar with all that we're offering. And that's before we look at us being able to, and when we're able to, include the recently approved Texas educational vouchers of $10,000. So that takes your $7 an hour investment and cuts it down to $3.50. You know, each one of your little scholars is worth at least that much an hour invested in their future education. We also have discounts for early payment and paying it all up in full. We have a flexible down payment. We can break down the payments biannually. We can break them down quarterly. We can break it down monthly. We're here to work with you to help you invest in the future education of your little ones. Dr. Nelson, anything else you want to add to this before we go to the next slide?
I think you can go to the next slide. You might want to let them know that one thing that we are working on, because we want as many families as possible, because we're looking for our 50 families. We have 10 of them right now, so we need 40 more. But what we're looking for, we want to make sure that your child can have a private school experience. So the one slide that we'll be adding to this is our sliding tuition scale. And so that's something that we would love for you to come back next week for and find out. We would also want you to seek us out so you can hear more about that sliding scale and that service credit that we can offer, so we can really whittle down the cost of the tuition.
Exactly. And we also offer a multi-student discount, as you can see right here. This allows us and you with that have more than one child in the family to be able to have a discount to have them going to school together. That's one of the reasons why we do the clustered grouping learning, because we know that kids with multi-age children, it increases the learning and comprehension of the whole clan, so to speak, not just the kids, but also the parents for that matter. So we want to offer that discount for those of you guys that have the larger group of families secondary program. And this is how we plan on doing that for you, our sibling discount program. So that kind of brings us to the end of tonight's presentation. We've got some good general news to share with you guys. We're getting closer and closer to an exact location. We do know that we're going to be starting our founding campus in the Dallas area, Dallas off of 20 area. So if you're in the area, look for us to be coming to you soon. And what other great information do you want to share with our viewers tonight before we get ready to sign off, Dr. Nelson?
Well, I just think that we have shared some wonderful information for individuals to roll around in their head and think about what would be the best fit for my child, considering that we're 25 years into the 21st century. However, school for my child still looks like school looked for me. Or if I'm a grandmother, it really still looks like it looked for me. So we just want, if you have any questions about B.E.A.M Microschool, feel free to reach out to us and call us. And that information, you can find that information at www.beammicroschool.org. Or if you have a question that you want to ask us, you can go to www.beameducation.org. Or if you have a question, info@beameducation.org.
And I'd like to invite you to go right down on the bottom. You see on the banner down there? Yeah, right down there at the bottom. I'd invite you to go to beameducation.org. Go ahead and register there so that you can get our newsletters and our updates. We also are a 501(c). So that means that you can donate on the site, at the bottom of the site there. You'll see where you can also donate to help fund the opening of B.E.A.M Microschool Academy. So we can even have some sponsorship programs where you can specifically donate for a piece of hardware or equipment, and we can brand that with your donation as well. So please get in contact with us. We're standing by. Dr. Nelson, thank you once again for joining us, being here as a part of the program, as always, and putting together this great dream, this great blessing that we're bringing to our community. With that, anything else to say before we sign off tonight?
Just everybody be careful, be safe, and because you're in Texas, stay hydrated.
That's right. All right. Well, thank you so much once again, Dr. Nelson, for joining us. With that, we're going to go ahead and end tonight's show, and we'll see you guys again next week.